I love you. I fell into a goblet of fire.
I went down, down, down. And the names went higher.
Welcome back, everybody. We're Green Faceless on the Couch. I'm the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leone, connoisseur of all spuds. They're all tasty and wonderful. And, I am trying, I'm cutting back. And I cut them out for a while. And, we're here now. And it's just hard to say no. But thanks for watching, Couch Potatoes. Thanks for listening.
The continuity of your diet's no longer making sense to me. I can't keep it in my head.
I don't know either. Because of our recording schedule, I have no idea. But I just think that it represents how hard it is to stay on a consistent diet.
With meditation and proper vigilance of the mind, nothing is difficult.
Well, it'd be a lot easier if potatoes didn't look so tasty.
They don't. They're dirty.
They look delicious.
Well, here we are. We're back again at the Harry Potter playlist with the fourth film in the 8-film movie universe, 7-book novel universe. The Goblet of Fire. Now, I remember...
The Goblet of Fire.
I remember as a kid, this was like the one movie. I mean, we've talked about it many times too in the past few years. When looking back, it's the one that we never liked.
I did not like it at the theater.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And it's just I don't know. For me, it was like as a kid, it's so condensed. This is the one film where the condensation. I don't know. Where the condensing of the book to make the movie leaves out so many subplots that I found wholly enjoyable that it just gets sad. It's just kind of, it starts making the movie universe just feel very fragile.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I had only just started reading the book and put it down, and eventually the movie came out and I went to see it. Mm-hmm. And I was disappointed too. Like, I didn't feel like it was a very good follow-up to The Prisoner of Azkaban. And then also, like, I knew that was a thick book. Yeah. And it just seemed like there was something missing from this film when I watched it way back when.
Oh, man, is there.
I don't know what it was. I'm sure you could tell me. But that being said, I feel like you're kind of going to the same track here. On this rewatch, it did seem like a much more competent film than what I recall.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely more enjoyable than I remember it being. I also recently rewatched this like last year because I was reading the Harry Potter books and I got through the third one, and this is probably my 15th run through of the Harry Potter books. So I picked up the Goblet of Fire, and I just thought to myself, you know what? I own the movies, and it'll probably be easier that way. And so I just rewatched Goblet of Fire, and then I stopped there. I didn't even go on further. I don't know why. I just watched the Goblet of Fire, and I'm like, I'm all right. I don't need to keep reading on these anymore. And I just moved on to the next book. But yeah, this is our third director now. Alfonso Cuarón only did The Prisoner of Azkaban. I think he only wanted to do one film. I don't think he wanted to continue on. So he dropped out, and Mike Newell came in. I don't really know much about Mike Newell, honestly.
No.
Still written by Steve Kloves, though. He's still the main writer of everything.
I bet there was some stuff that was cut from that original screenplay. I guarantee it. I'm sure there's more of this movie out there. I don't know if it's filmed, but there's definitely more of this script out there.
I would hope. Yeah, because they leave out a lot. They leave, in regards to characters. Hell, just jumping on into it, it opens up without Dursleys. This is the first film where we don't have a Dursley residence introduction. You don't even start off with Harry Potter characters. You start off with this mumbling old caretaker guy who we mentioned that when you picked up the book, you were reading the first chapter and then you just put it down because you just couldn't get into it. And I said the reason is because that first chapter isn't a Harry Potter chapter. It's about that mumbling old caretaker who's just, he takes care of the Riddle residents. And
right.
for all those, well, maybe it's not the Riddle residence. I don't know.
It is where our villain is taking residence.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say up front, too, I don't think we should worry about putting up spoiler walls or anything. It's Harry fucking Potter.
Sure.
If you haven't seen it, and if you're confused and you don't want anything spoiled, tread lightly, or just, go watch it and then come back and listen to us. But
sure,
it's Harry Potter.
Sure.
It's so pop culture that you should probably know it by now if you don't.
Also, what really surprised me when I was looking, like when I pulled up the cast list and shit, is that this was over 15 years ago.
Yeah, this movie came out in 2005.
This is 15 years old. This is fucking crazy. That's blowing my mind.
Well, it's crazy to think about, too, because, people always talk about how the characters age so much. It's like it becomes, it doesn't, after a while, they no longer feel like kids. And you're like, that's right. Here is where I would say they no longer feel like kids. They definitely feel like they're seniors in high school.
At this point. Yeah.
And so it feels like they're 17 or 18 right now, which I think they might have been at the time. Playing 14-year-olds, yeah.
Right, it's weird.
But this is like the point where that disconnect starts to happen with their age. And, I would honestly say that, I don't know, there's nothing you could have done about it. They're going to age, and they got these movies out super fast. Like, this is only like a year or two after Prisoner of Azkaban.
Right.
I recently read an article that Rupert Grint, who plays Ronald Weasley, he felt so contained. It was kind of like a prison sentence being part of this contract. Because it's just like, as an actor, it's sad. As an actor, you want to do other roles. You want to express yourself and your abilities. And then as a kid in Harry Potter, you're just kind of stuck for your growth phase for, a solid 10 years of your acting career, just doing one character. So it's like, I can understand why he kind of spun out from the acting world.
It's a hell of a resume builder. I mean, both Daniel and Emma, they used it to their advantage for sure, coming out of it. But he's in some stuff now that I haven't seen. Yeah, there is one movie that he was in that I do recall seeing that was very shortly after all this was done, but I can't recall what it was. It was kind of a dry comedy drama kind of thing. I can't remember what it was called though.
I mean, I definitely want to see more of him. Specifically, I want to see more of him in the Doctor Who universe, because I still think he would make a very funny Doctor. I would love it.
Yeah, he would be hilarious as the Doctor.
Speaking of which, when the Muggle caretaker we're talking about at the beginning of the film, he looks out his window and sees lights on in the manor that he's taken care of. He walks over there and he discovers Doctor Who himself with Voldemort and with Peter Pettigrew. David Tennant. David Tennant finally comes into the Harry Potter universe. Very small role. Such a fabulous actor.
He's the main character.
I really wish he was. Oh man, David Tennant as Harry Potter, that'd be beautiful. But
that would be something.
Also, I did just notice this too when watching this film. David Tennant enters the Harry Potter universe, and they immediately have bigger on the inside technology. Like, am I right? I don't think other movies had tents that you can walk inside and it's bigger on the inside.
No, I don't think so. They didn't. And you know what? I almost expected Harry when he said, "I love magic." I almost expected him to say it's bigger on the inside. But yeah,
so fucking great. Oh, I would have fucking died if he did that.
That's hilarious, though. Good observation. And they do use it a couple of times in this particular movie. It's funny. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I just thought about it when I was watching. I was like, man, it's bigger on the inside. And I was like, wait a second. You get a viewpoint from this Muggle caretaker who doesn't know anything about the Harry Potter universe. You learn that Voldemort is active. He is still around, and that he has servants now. He has followers, people who are loyal to him, taking care of him while he is weak, and you don't get to see his body in that scene, but while he's weakened.
Yeah, he's very diminished. He's very clearly diminished.
And he's got such a creepy voice. It's so good. A voice by Ray Fiennes. He'll take body later, but We finally got a casting, a solid just casting decision for who's going to play Voldemort. You know, no more.
Finally.
No more CGI heads on the back of people or just a young version of him. We got a real life actor that we finally just cast it for the 4th movie. It took us that long. I don't know why they didn't just stay with whoever the Voldemort was on the back of Quirrell's.
Yeah, he was perfectly fine, but I don't know if that CGI image was modeled after the actor that was voicing it or not. That could have been a thing. Yeah. Maybe they chose the actor because of voice, but on a physicality level they weren't into it, or maybe he just wasn't available. It was quite a few years later, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I do love Ralph Fiennes as
Voldemort. I do. Yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a fun actor, but we'll get to him near the end. For now, you just learn from the villains that some shit's gonna happen this year at Hogwarts. They have a plan.
It is.
It apparently involves Harry Potter in some way. It just sets up that shit's gonna go down this year. I mean, it's gone down every year, but this time it's real shit.
This time it's real shit.
People gonna die this year, god damn it. And then that's where we cut out the Dursleys, we say fuck them, and we go straight to a Quidditch match.
Yeah, and this is a professional Quidditch match, which I feel like the audience doesn't know at this point until they're at the match, that Quidditch is a professional sport.
Right.
It just seems like, and not that there's not professional lacrosse teams, but it just seemed like something you play at prep school, like one of those games. And
it didn't seem like it would have such a huge following as it does, because
right,
you get to this event and there's thousands, tens of thousands of
it's
there.
Like the World Cup for soccer, for sure.
It's called the Quidditch Cup even,
and it was the Irish versus Bulgaria, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how we get introduced to the character Viktor Krum, played by Stanislav Yanevsky.
He did a good job.
He did a good job. I mean, I mean, for what the role was portrayed as in the movie, he did exactly what he needed to do. He just needed to be this big jock type character, very impressive physically and as a wizard as well.
Viktor Krum makes no sense to me though, because he's on this professional Quidditch team, playing this professional level sport for wizards, which is, there are 18-year-old baseball players in the MLB.
Right.
There's young athletes who make it to the professionals all the time. I get that. But it just feels like he is not a student at any school, and yet later on he becomes one of the student champions for the Triwizard tournament at school.
Yeah, I would say that it's definitely an unusual happenstance, but also maybe it is more common for the Bulgarian Wizard Society to uplift their younger, high potential wizards into situations like that.
I guess he could also just be incredibly dumb and been constantly held back in school.
He does seem quite a bit older than the other students, which makes it weird when it gets to the ballroom scene. He's with Emma, and I always kind of imagined this scene, and it might just be in a different movie where she's crying about something that Victor did. But that is not in this movie.
No, there's a scene of her crying because Ron was an asshole.
Yeah, because Ron was an asshole, yes. That happens.
Yeah. Young love. Oh, how it blossoms so in this movie. It's so beautiful.
So slowly.
So slowly. They won't kiss until movie 6, damn it. But yeah, they go to the Quidditch match, which is where you start to see that a lot of this movie is going to be very rushed, very condensed, and just kind of sad. Because, again, overall, I was more impressed and enjoyed this film more as an adult coming out of it. I was like, you know what? There's a competent movie here and I liked it.
Yeah.
But here's one of the big things that I hate about it and it's the things that they condense, the things they decide are not necessary to make the overall story, like the Quidditch Cup. So much build up to the event. You get all the excitement, you get some good time with the Weasleys, you get everything you need for what the story is. You do not watch the match at all. It's not there. There's no match present. You get the introduction of Victor Crumb, you get a lot of chanting, and then like Cornelius Fudge is like, "Let the game begin," and then that's it.
And then they're back in the tent celebrating.
Yep. And it's sad. It's so sad. It's just like, aw, that's one of those throwaway scenes that you're right, it's not needed. But damn it, I wanted it. I wanted some Quidditch action, especially from professionals. We could have got to see what it looks like, you know, the heavy hitters and everything, all the high action.
Yeah, that could have been pretty cool. And you know what? It's really our only taste of Quidditch in this entire movie, and it's such a big part of the other movies that it is kind of sad.
And you also get the removal of characters in this scene. There's many characters removed. For one, each team at the beginning of the match has this big display. The Irish come out with a bunch of leprechauns who, you know, they drop fake gold everywhere, and it's a lot of fun. This is all in the books, of course, not in the movie. And the Bulgarians have these individuals called Vila. Veela, Vila. And they're very beautiful women who, whenever they dance or whenever they sing, they just like enrapture men. Men are just so weak-minded that they can't, you know, not focus on their beauty.
Yeah.
And that comes into play in the books because the Beauxbaton Academy, when the Triwizard Tournament's happening later on in the movie,
right,
the Beauxbaton champion is half Vila. And she uses that occasionally throughout the book. I mean, she doesn't intend to use it. It's just part of the big emotional fight between Ron and Hermione throughout this movie. Is Ron is very weak-minded towards Vila. Right, he's very attracted to them, and like, you know, he falls under their spell so easily. And so, you know, Hermione's mad at Ron because Ron's attracted to this other lady. Ron's mad at Hermione because she's flirting with Victor Crumb, and it's just it just builds the tension that's going to happen later on in the books, which again, the movie doesn't need it. That's fine, I get it. Another character that's missing that's not needed is Winky, who is a half elf. She's the half elf of Barty Crouch Sr. Again, not needed character. The book uses her pretty heavily for the story, but the movie realizes that all the elements that she is can be dumped off on wizards because fuck house elves, because that's all, you know, wizarding society ever thinks about. With
I know. Then that's sad because like I've always heard that there's like some pretty good stuff with the house elves. Like I said, I've not read all the books, but Dobby was such a big pivotal character. You think they would still want that element at least referenced to. And he's like, Winky is one of the type of house elf that is just heartbroken when she is not a servant anymore, which is a storyline in the book. She gets, you know, fired from Barty Crouch for reasons that are just going to be too long to go into today. Sure. Actually, we'll go into it when they happen in the story later on. But she gets fired, and Dobby becomes like the only house elf that's trying to help her. Right. I think it's this book where Dobby and Winky both get hired by the Hogwarts house elf staff to become caretakers at the school. Oh. Also, Hermione, when she discovers that all these house elves are working for free and are basically slaves, this is the book where she starts her movement to try to free house elves, which is not at all existent in the movies, I don't believe. No, I don't think it is at all.
It might happen in the 5th movie, and I might just be completely remembering things wrong, but I don't believe it does. But yeah, I rambled a long time, but that's they go right back to the tent and they start celebrating after the Quidditch World Cup that we don't get to see.
And we don't get to see, and then the bad shit happens.
Yeah, that's when shit goes down. That's when in the movie, that's when Harry gets knocked on the back of the head and miraculously doesn't get trampled by stampeding people in terror.
Yeah, Death Eaters show up, and they are the old followers of Voldemort, apparently becoming active again, and it's really scary for the Ministry.
Yeah.
And, they shoot up that green skull and snake insignia in the sky that's very famous for this movie, and that they all have magically tattooed on their arms. It's kind of scary, but it just kind of happens. And that's probably, a sneak attack kind of thing. I'm sure that kind of was probably a pretty good perspective on it. Yeah. But, like, Lucius Malfoy was just so fucking obvious.
Right.
About it. Like, right before the match, he runs into them and says some stupid classist bullshit because he's an asshole. And then he says, "Enjoy the match, Potter, while you can." And he has his snake king, like its fangs stuck in Harry's jersey sleeve. And my wife is like, "I'm pretty sure you can't just like grab people with your cane, Lucius. I don't care how powerful you are."
He's a very prominent white male figure in the political world for wizards. Yeah, he just has that power. He can just grab the most famous wizard in the world and with his snake cane.
What a fucking ass.
It's so weird because he has that line where he says that, and it's very menacing, and you're like, okay, some shit's gonna come down. But in the books, I'm fairly certain that the Death Eaters doing what they did by attacking, by just going crazy and, shooting up the Voldemort's insignia in the sky and all that kind of, scaring people. In the books, I think it was just done because they were drunk. Just because, the Quidditch Cup happened, they were all together in one spot, and they were just like, kind of like, let's just wreck some shit. Yeah, they were so riled up that they're just like, let's just wreck some shit.
Let's get a squad back together.
Yeah, I don't think there was a plan because, I mean, it feels like in the movies there was a plan because David Tennant appears. David Tennant plays Barty Crouch Jr., as we will find out later. He just kind of appears on the scene, shoots the insignia up in the sky, and it just feels like it was part of the plan. Whereas in the book, Barty Crouch Sr. had snuck his son, Barty Crouch Jr., out of Azkaban and was keeping him under an Imperius curse. Yeah, he had his son basically bewitched for like years, just constantly keeping him under an Imperius curse. He had a store-bought invisibility cloak that he used to hide his son. And he just for fun, well, not for fun, just out of the kindness of his heart, which was, it's very charcoaled heart. But just out of the kind of his heart, Barty Crouch Sr. just brought his son to the Quidditch World Cup. And he had him, befuddled the entire match. But his mind was slipping at this point. Barty Crouch Sr. was very tired. He's stressed. He's overworked. And so while his mind was slipping, Barty Crouch Jr., who was with him in the same box that Harry Potter was in watching the match, Barty Crouch Jr. steals Harry's wand and used it then to cast the insignia. Well, sorry, didn't use it right then. But he used the wand later in the night to cast the insignia when he had broken free of his father's curse.
That really is a totally different story for Barty Crouch Sr. and Jr. Than what's portrayed in the movie. Which, I don't know, like, at least in the movie... so that story right there just makes me feel like Barty Crouch Sr. is extremely incompetent in the book.
Well, he becomes that way. As he gets older, once he's in charge of so much that there's just so much stress in his life. There's so much tragedy too, because his wife died. I mean, in fact, and to break his son out of Azkaban, his wife was dying. Barty Crouch Sr.'s wife was dying of some disease. I can't remember what, and she knew she was gonna die. So they go to Azkaban, and they just replaced Barty's wife with his son. That was her dying wish, was she wanted him to free her son from Azkaban. So they just switched places. And, the Dementors don't know shit. They sense people and they sense fear. So as long as fear replaced fear, it didn't matter. Yeah, so that's how he snuck his son out of Azkaban, was basically throwing his wife in there instead so that she would die in there.
Well, and in the movie, the only thing that's said is he's the one who sent him there.
Yeah.
Senior is the one who sent Junior to prison. That makes sense given Barty Crouch Senior's position.
Yeah.
But it seems like he was not as heartless as some were trying to suggest.
Yeah.
In this movie interpretation. That's interesting.
I would say he was. It's just when he sentenced his son to prison, it kind of just broke him.
I'm sure, yeah.
You know, the book makes it a big deal that he was on the path to becoming Minister of Magic himself. But after his son was found out as an agent of Voldemort, it just kind of ruined his political career.
Sure.
You know, then the death of his wife, and then, you know, having to keep his son befuddled for like the entirety of every day. It just weighed on his mind. And like,
sure.
I think when the Triwizard Tournament's happening, he's actually befuddled by his son at that point. I think his son had flipped the cards and was just controlling him. I don't remember if that's true or not, but
that's very interesting. Very interesting. Definitely that storyline is completely different.
Right.
Represented completely different. I can't say that I dislike the storyline in the movie, though. I thought it was good, but I thought there could be more. But I think it would have given away the twist of the movie prematurely if they did any more than they did.
Yeah, and that, you know, let's just go to Hogwarts, because after the Quidditch Cup happens, there's not really much that happens between the Quidditch Cup and them at Hogwarts. You know, the gang's all there. You learn that there's this huge, big tournament between other schools. They're bringing in other magical schools, which is cool.
Well, it's like every 5 years that they do the tournament, the Triwizard Cup.
I can't remember.
I think that's what Sarah said. 5 years when we were watching.
Five sounds about right, because it's like if you're a first grader, it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to do it, and then like when it comes back, it's like, oh good, I can. But I don't think they're gonna be doing it anymore, because the reason they had stopped doing this big tournament for so long because there were too many deaths, and so they brought it back on the caveat that, hey, it's got to be basically impossible for nobody to die.
Ha! Yeah.
It's Harry Potter, motherfucker.
Yeah. If they say some people used to die in this tournament, then somebody's going to die in the tournament. I mean, it's kind of it's almost Chekhov's gun. It's, you know, it's just foreshadowing. That's what it is. And so, yeah, somebody dies. Somebody dies.
Oh no!
But who? So in that case, let's jump into our who our champions are.
Yeah, they set an age limit. You have to be 17 or older to be able to compete, and they choose one champion from each school.
I do want to talk about their entrance, though. So when these two schools are introduced, it's pretty great. So first they introduce the women's school. And they do like these charms and stuff as they're walking in, and it's like and all the schoolboys are like, oh wow, and
because they're part Vila.
That is completely omitted from the film, so I did not know. But anyhow, and you can see all the Hogwarts girls going like, what the hell, guys?
Right,
fucking boys. They're led by this half giant woman, Madame Olympe Maxime, played by Frances de la Tour, and there's this fun little love story between her and Hagrid that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Then you get the big buff boy school come in, led by Igor Karkaroff, Predrag Pleglack. I'm sorry, I totally fucked up your name. I'm sure I did, but he's got this big menacing look. And he becomes suspect to Harry and the gang, as anybody who has a big menacing look, because they love judging people by their face. And
they know evil when they see it, man.
They know evil when they see it. So something that does come to light in this movie, more towards the end, is that both this Igor character and Professor Snape in the past were Death Eaters.
Yeah.
And it is also stated in the film that Snape became a spy for them, and Igor gives names so he doesn't get sent to Azkaban. But I wanted to talk about their entrances because they were so cool. Like I said, the ladies did the charm thing. which, you know, is kind of like maybe a little over sexualized, but whatever. And then the guys come in and they do this cool thing with staffs, and I was like, cool, they got wizard staffs. That's cool. That's better than wands. I like that.
And they're staffs that spark.
Yeah, when they hit the ground, they spark fire, and then like they do a flip, and the staffs are just gone.
It's awesome.
I thought it was cool. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, that's honestly why they should have set up the Vila earlier, though, is because it does feel overly sexualized, because it's like, okay, yeah, they're very feminine, or, you know, they have these charms that they do. But where if they had set them up as Vila earlier on, you would be like, oh no, this is just, you know, it's their culture. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're genetically predisposed to make that happen. So that's a little bit different. At least a touch different.
Yeah, and also just like using that in their dance and using that as like an introduction like that, it's just like them showing their culture. It would just make more sense that way. Right. Whereas just as a group of women, it's just like, yeah, this is a little weird.
Yeah, especially because, and you know, this really wouldn't have been excused by incorporating that mythos either. But there is a lot of butt shots of these women characters in the film. I noticed, especially with like the Gryffindor boys watching them go by, and I'm like, oh Jesus. Well, and you know what? I was a high schooler. You know, that definitely was something I did. Yeah. But
if you were able to access like cameras in a high school, and it's just like a bunch of teen heads just constantly turning back and forth, just like whoa. Oh God.
Oh, I gotta run away.
But you mentioned the love story between Madame Maxime and Hagrid, and in the books, it's still there in the books. It's a good love. It's a fun little love story, but there's also a moment of tension where Hagrid mentions that she's half giant, and you get the knowledge that giants aren't treated well in the Wizarding Society. That becomes, and it becomes very important come the 7th book when, Voldemort is at full power and the Wizarding world has to decide, do we want giants to be on our side or do we want to be fighting giants? Because, wizards are very racist, or I guess speciesist, but, they don't treat giants well at all, and they definitely don't treat half giants well. And Hagrid is a half giant. Dumbledore is not at all, he does not care. he's just like, you're a half giant, but you're also a person. People. Yeah, you're a good being.
Yeah, for Dumbledore, people are people. I believe that. I think he might be a little bit indifferent to just because they don't focus on it anyways in the movies. He might be indifferent to the whole house elf thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he pays them all too. After once Hermione brings the issue up, he's like, "Sure, I'll pay them, and they'll have I'll give them vacation days, and they have time off." And he decides that he's just like, "Yeah, sure, I can give them stuff. They've never asked for it before, and I just offer them a good home."
You're right, Hermione. You're right. That doesn't have to be that way. I appreciate that.
Madame Maxime gets like really mad when Hagrid mentions that she's half giant, or implies that she's half giant, because she's very conservative about it. She doesn't want that knowledge known. Sure. She's just a very tall woman, and so
taller than Hagrid.
Yeah, that's just another fun thing that this movie decided, not part of the story, not needed. Let's cut it, and it's not needed. Right. They touch up on it later a little bit, but. I don't know. It just would have set that up nice, which, again, I know I've harped on it now this is going to be the 4th episode I've harped on it. In a television world, Harry Potter could be great. It really could.
Yeah, still could work.
Yeah.
People would still watch it. They would, even though all the movies have been adapted. Whatever.
But now we get our champions. We get... From the Bell Bottom Academy, you get Fleur Delacour, who none of the champions are really touched upon, other than this is a person, here's a couple of stereotypical things about them, and then, and now they're just a contender. I mean, Harry is the only, a spoiled Harry as a contender. But Harry and the other Hogwarts contender are really the only ones who get any kind of depth.
Right. So, yeah, Cedric Diggory, as you said, does get some depth, but he also doesn't.
Yeah.
Like there's even this line at the end, which I feel like is pretty famous about this movie, where they finally get to the big impetus of the story, and they're at this graveyard, and Voldemort's just like, kill despair.
Yeah.
And that's it. And Cedric is dead.
Yeah. And it was so abrupt in the book too, because it's literally like that. Like, I think in my version, kill despair is at the bottom of one page, and then you flip it over and it's like a flash of green light and Cedric Diggory dies, and it's just like, fucking what? So quick.
Oh my god.
Like
but I'm sure he is more full-fledged of a character in the book. But
all of them
definitely, he does feel like a spare.
But it's Robert Pattinson.
I know, yeah, and doing very well. I mean, this is before Twilight, and I like this better than Twilight.
Swoon.
And there's just so much more that he's done since then too. So I just don't want to besmirch his career.
He's Batman.
He is. Well, I suppose he currently is being Batman.
They wrapped.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We will see his Batman soonish.
Oh yeah. But here at Cedric, it's just kind of funny. He's like supposed to be this very popular kid that we have not met at all.
We don't know. Yeah.
He was in the third book.
I figured she probably would have set him up earlier than this, but they didn't focus on him in the movies.
Yeah.
And I think I might recall that from reading it, but like I said, I only read it once, and I read it before the third movie even came out. So that's forever ago.
Yeah, he was the Seeker on the Hufflepuff team, in the third book, because there's that huge match between Gryffindor and Hufflepuff when the Dementors come in, and he's the other Seeker in that scene. So she sets him up slightly well. And I mean, like, you at least know the name when you get to it in the fourth book. Whereas in the fourth movie, you're just like, who's this fuck?
I'm sure all the Seekers are like one of the most popular people in their house.
Yeah.
I wanted to call them the class, and I'm like, no, that's not it. House. We kind of had that, like, not in our building, in our undergrad building. But in some of the underground buildings, they had different quad houses.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying not to give names because, we don't want them to know where we are. But like, I remember this one particular building. There really did seem to be a rivalry between the different houses of that quad building. And at our place, we were like, it's just Tower A and Tower B, and we hang out with each other.
Oh, damn it, it's more than that.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It's really weird because there are two Hogwarts champions, and I don't know if we mentioned Victor Crumb obviously was the Bulgarian champion. He's the only one given any kind of depth. I mean, it's the same with the Beauxbaton Academy. Flora's the only one at all who gets like a speaking line. Maybe one other character says something.
She's worried about her sister. That's it.
Yeah, but because of some mysterious issue, Harry's name is also drawn as a champion. And you get two Hogwarts champions, and it's just like, well, that's totally unfair. And in the books, you get a lot of, that weird political world where half the school is like, yeah, Harry, and the other half is like, yeah, Cedric, because fuck Harry. What a cheater. Yeah, the Slytherins don't give a damn about anybody, but they're like, fuck Harry Potter, so we're gonna root for Cedric Diggory, even when we think he's just a stoner asshole. And that scene, though, the choosing of the champions, or just the introduction of the Triwizard Tournament, rather, you do get to meet two new characters. You get Barty Crouch Sr., who's played by Roger Lloyd Pack, who was also in Doctor Who. He is a Cybermaster. He's a controller of the Cybermen. Right. Which, obviously, if I didn't say it up front, David Tennant is also Doctor Who. If you don't know, he's one of the Doctors himself. So you got two new Doctor Who characters, including Jeff Ruhl, who plays Amos Diggory, Cedric Diggory's dad. He's in the offshoot TV show Sarah Jane Adventures. So, fun fact, And if I haven't mentioned it, I wrote this note down because I don't know if I've said it before. Warwick Davis is also in the Doctor Who world. He has a recent episode with Clara Oswald, a character. So there we go. There's my Doctor Who corner out of the way. But you're introduced to Barty Crouch Sr. and also Mad Eye Moody, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, played by Brendan Gleeson, the father of Domhnall Gleeson. That was my fun fact. I was gonna tell you at the beginning before we started recording. I was like, "Did you know this fact that I just discovered?"
I feel like that's something I could have figured out, but
right?
I did not know. Like, it feels like it should have been obvious.
Yeah, Domhnall Gleeson is just like occupying cinema for the past like 3 or 4 years. He's just a side character in everything.
Yeah, including the new Star Wars movies. If you haven't seen them, he's part of the First Order. One of the main characters of the First Order, I'll say. But yeah, now I kind of really want a movie with the two of them playing father and son, which may have happened. I don't know. I don't know the entirety of their career. But yes, as Alistair Mad Eye Moody, Brendan Gleeson is awesome.
Oh, he's phenomenal. One thing that I noticed watching it this time that I really loved about his performance is, again, big spoiler, so if you really just don't want to know something, skip forward. He's not only playing Mad Eye Moody, he's playing Barty Crouch Jr., Polyjuice potioned into Mad Eye Moody. And there's hints of that.
And that's why I said David Tennant's the main character.
Yeah, he really is.
He does such a good job of emulating David Tennant's performance. It's so crazy.
And I've never realized that any of the other times I've watched this until I watched it this time. I'm like, did he just lick his lips? And I was like, that's weird. And I was like, oh, that's right. That's what Barty Crouch Jr. has that tick where he's constantly licking. Because, David Tennant likes to lick things, and I love it.
Yeah, it's so weird, but I love it too. And there's this little snippet even when Moody... We'll say this is the skip ahead point. You're safe now. If you're listening, you're safe. Moody does lick his lips, and Crom does get a weird look.
Yeah.
And that's some foreshadowing. Crouch, yeah. What did I say? Crom. Oh,
Crom,
fuck all these names.
Right. She didn't think at all about dyslexic people loving her books. But yeah, Barty Crouch is just like, whoa, that was my son's tick. And like, again, in the books, Barty Crouch is befuddled. He, that's how Barty Crouch Jr.
does kind of seem that way.
Yeah.
In the movie. I feel like the actor took that interpretation into the film.
I think so, but at the same time, I think he is aware of what's going on, because when that scene happened, it shocked him. But no, I definitely love Brendan Gleeson as Mad Eye Moody because he is so fucking funny. Yeah,
I wish that I know that they had to do what she wrote. I guess we'll just say she. But I wish that they would have given Moody actually give him a chance to teach.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I don't think he even accepted the teaching position. I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
But it could have been his imposter who had accepted it, and so that maybe that's why when he woke up, Dumbledore's like, "Do you want to teach?" And he's like, "No."
No, why would I do that?
He's like, that should have been your first fucking clue that you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, it did actually seem that I did kind of get the hint that Dumbledore was kind of surprised that he accepted the position. There is some really good foreshadowing towards it in the film that I didn't pick up when I first watched the movie. And I think that's one of the main reasons that when I rewatched it, I did feel like it was a better flick than what I remember.
Wholehearted agreement there. Yeah, after we're introduced to that, things start moving along. We get the first event.
Yeah, some challenges.
Yeah, you get your challenges. You got 3 challenges for the Triwizard Tournament. And the first one is dragons. You got to steal an egg from a dragon. And they cut out the Charlie Weasley bit. In the books, there's a Charlie Weasley bit where he's the one who tells Harry about the dragons. Well, actually, Hagrid leads him through the forest to Charlie Weasley. and Charlie Weasley's just talking. I don't think Charlie knows Harry's there. But, Charlie Weasley, cut again. He was cut from the first movie. Now he's cut from the fourth movie because fuck Charlie Weasley, I guess. We'll get to him later in the series in, movie 7.
And he's underused there, too. He's not...
Yeah. No big role for Charlie. Sorry, Charlie.
Too many Weasleys in this film.
Yeah, there's too many fucking Weasleys. Like rabbits.
Oh my god.
But maybe I'll edit that. We'll find out. The dragon scene rushes by. It flies by, if you will.
It does.
And it's really sad because you could literally just show all of the champions performing against this dragon, and it'd be really fun and entertaining to see how they all handled it. No, we get a really stupid montage while Harry's in the waiting room, just being like, "Oh God, I gotta face a dragon. Oh Jesus, what am I gonna do? Oh shit, man!" It's so stupid. I hate it. It's just, in my opinion, that's like a bad directing. It was just a very wasted opportunity to not show all of the action.
Yeah, and fuck, dude, it's a high. I don't know if you would honestly consider this high fantasy or not. I don't know. The nerds have their categories and stuff, but anyways, it's a fantasy world. Show us the fucking dragons.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I mean, we got tiny little miniatures of them. Wasn't that cool?
That was, though. I did like that.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like to have a tiny little miniature wizard running around, but I don't want to go out and buy one, so it's, I don't know. But
what do you got to feed that thing?
Right. Also, with this first tournament, we get the realization that Argus Filch is now just the comedic effect. He's no longer going to be a character. He is just going to be something to laugh at. Because that's what all 3 of these events, they just use Argus Filch for comedy. And he's great at it. It is hilarious.
Yeah, he is good at it. That first bit is in the banquet hall, if I recall, and he's got his tails on, but they're all raggedy, and then he's like holding his tie down and running through the banquet hall, and he whispers into Dumbledore's ear, and then Waddle runs out again, and I don't even remember what he told him because his run was hilarious.
I think he's just telling him that the other schools are there. It's just like
something.
Yeah, you don't hear what he says, but he whispers that, and then Dumbledore's like, "Oh, okay, go on, go away."
Yeah, on the count of 3.
Yeah, that's how he's used in the tournament.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, they always get ready to shoot the cannon, and he shoots too early. Ha ha. Premature ejaculation for the poor squib.
Oh no. I don't know if we ever explained what that term means because I don't feel
squib.
like they go into it in the film either. What is a squib?
A squib is it's almost like a mudblood, where it's a mudblood is a wizarding person born to Muggle parents. A squib is a Muggle born to wizarding parents. So he's still a wizard in a way. He just has no connection to magic. He has no control over anything. Right. He can't cast anything. So
but he's a part of the culture. It's not like he can blink his eyes and the magical world will be gone.
I mean, they could have just erased his memory, but there are people who care about
that would be cruel.
Yeah, if your parents I don't want a squib in my family. Fuck, just get rid of this kid.
Jeez, I definitely see some Slytherin folk doing that, but shit.
Oh yeah, I bet it's happened in the world of Harry Potter. It's sad.
Well,
to think
that was
about.
Sad. Let's move on.
Fights. Yeah, you get the first tournament. Harry fights a dragon. He uses his broom because that's what Harry's good at, and it's a very exciting scene. It's so exciting that I wish we had 3 others just like it, where we could have watched other champions do it.
Yeah, they obviously all succeed. At least they say so because they needed the treasure that was the MacGuffin of the challenge as a clue for the next challenge. And does the ball happen before the next challenge, or is the ball in between the second and third?
I want to say it's in between the second and third. I'm not sure, though. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. Well, they do have some time in between the first challenge and the second to figure out this clue.
Actually, it's before, because that's why Hermione is Crumb's his prize for the second challenge.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
Because what he's referring to is that there's this ball everybody's supposed to ask and take a date and whatever, it's fucking prom. It's wizard prom.
Yeah.
And
the Yule Ball.
Victor Krum asks Hermione to wizard prom, and they have a good time until Ronald, who's not having a good time with their date.
Not even paying attention to their date.
Yeah, Harry's not paying attention to his date either, because something we didn't mention is that he's interested in Cho Chang. She actually goes with Cedric. Yeah. So they're both kind of watching the people who they would have preferred to go with. But, Ron fucked up and didn't ask Hermione until last minute, and also asked her in the most piss poor way that you could imagine.
Hey, Hermione, you're a girl.
You're a girl.
Dude, honestly, though, like, you get it from his brothers, because, like, Fred's way of asking a girl out to the prom is, like, Ron's like, well, who'd you invite, Fred? And Fred's like, well, I haven't invited anybody. And he throws like a peanut or something at her, like Angelica Johnson.
She's like, what the fuck?
He's like, you want to dance with me? And she's like, yeah, sure, I guess. And it's just like, yeah, that's Ron's examples right there.
Yeah. But see, though, like, both Fred and George are so much more outgoing, maybe. Like, I feel like Ron's not, like, introverted by any means, but his brothers are definitely super outgoing and the class clowns.
Yeah.
And I could see, just by sheer popularity, that their other classmate that he invited would have been like, yeah, sure, I could see myself dancing with you. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But
Ron doesn't really, click with most people. I feel like except for the Gryffindor boys. Like, the Gryffindor boys love their Ron, but
he's a very male stereotype.
yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
Ronnie the Bear.
Ronnie the
Man. Such a beautiful man. But yeah, I guess that the ball happens, a lot of tension happens, everybody's at each other's faces, ready to scratch each other out. They're all mad at each other. Ron's mad at Hermione, even though before that Ron was mad at Harry, which I like that. When Harry gets chosen as champion, Ron gets mad at him and they don't really go too well into it in the movie, I don't think.
In the movie, he just seems like a jealous boyfriend, really. Because like he didn't tell him. And I think that's really portraying their wizard hormones pretty well, because they're at that age.
But in the book, it's so much more enjoyable, in my opinion. It makes more sense for the characters, because Ron is such a normal person. He's the youngest of 7 boys. It's right, or maybe 6 boys and a girl. He's not younger than Ginny, but anyways, he's very young, and he's got so much to live up to. That Harry, like, all this stuff just, this prominent stuff just keeps happening to Harry, and he's always able to, be the champion of the school, and he's, the youngest sneaker ever, and it's just like, it just got to a boiling point in book 4 where it's just like, fucking everything happens to Harry, and poor Ron is always just left at the wayside as the sidekick, and it's really nice. Right. But as you said, the movie kind of just treats it like I'm so tired of my boyfriend doing everything.
Yeah. Jeez, I got the hiccups.
But anyways, the Yule Ball happens. We have more tension, and that leads us to the second challenge, which is an underwater swim quest to find, I guess, your true love, your prize. For Harry, that's Ron.
Yeah.
For Krum, that's Hermione. And then who cares about the other two?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like slightly important, because Ron almost dies because he decides to also save Fleur's sister, because she was not able to finish the challenge. And for that reason, they gave him second place in the challenge, even though he came in third.
For moral fiber.
For moral fiber.
For outstanding moral fiber.
Yeah. And I like that. And it also it also, all the other champions respect him for it.
Yeah.
And before that, in the first challenge, I feel like there was some animosity. Crumb did get, like, there was this part with Crumb where he shooed away some reporters and stuff. The other ones kind of, I think, all felt that he was cheating.
Yeah.
Besides maybe Cedric, because Harry did pass on that information to Cedric.
Yeah. And Cedric's just a nice guy. Yeah, he's just
right.
He's part of the stoner class, or the stoner house. Like, he's got to be a nice guy.
Exactly.
He's just
Hufflepuff.
chill, bro. Hufflepuff. And
so yeah,
shit happens, and we're on to the third one.
The maze. The amazing maze.
The amazing maze that's so fucking rushed and confusing, and
it is.
I just don't like it.
No.
It's really ridiculous, and it's just like, look at all this tension, look at this excitement that's happening. I'm just like, I don't care.
Right.
Just get to the
the vines, like, eating them up. That shit was pretty cool. But yeah, the rest of it, like you said, it's very rushed. It's hard to really concentrate on what's going on. And their job is to get the cup that's in the middle of the maze. But somebody turned it into a port key, which we learned about earlier in the movie. It just brings you to a different destination. And the different destination is a graveyard. And the scene unfolds that we talked about. Cedric dies.
Well, I guess we should say that only Harry and Cedric get to the port key. They're the only
That's
ones
right.
who are transported to that final scene.
Very noble moment where they're both like, let's do it together. Let's win together.
Yeah. And it's like, Flora was kidnapped by those vines that you talked about. She was just dragged away. And Victor, it's not explained in the movie, Victor's been befuddled by Barty Crouch Jr. You know, the movie is just like, sometimes people, when they're in the maze, they aren't themselves anymore.
Right.
And it's just like, it's just a stupid throwaway line. It's like, okay, that's dumb. But what happens in the book is Barty Crouch Jr. basically uses the Imperius Curse on Victor Crumb and uses him to try to take out Floor and Cedric so that Harry will win. That Harry will be the one that gets to the cup. But Harry being noble, him and Cedric make it.
So if you want to look at it this way, Cedric died and it was Harry's fault.
Yeah, 100%. His hubris.
Though perhaps he would not have escaped with his life if Cedric wasn't there. And I think we'll leave that part for the viewer. What exactly happens there? I think we can say, because we said we're not going to worry about spoilers, that this is the moment where Voldemort regains his power.
Voldemort rises.
Yeah, Harry just barely escapes.
I do want to say that fight was awesome.
It was awesome.
I hate what the series is about to become, because it becomes just flashy effects, and that's all magic is a wish and a whoosh, right, and a beautiful light effect through the air. But that final fight scene with, I will say, with Harry and Voldemort, there's this moment where
right.
You know, their wands are just like connected by this beam, and that beam is like dripping, and it looks so cool. It still looks fun,
right?
And
just, they make like a bubble around them too.
Yeah,
like opposite bubbles that are trying to force each other together.
It's just this stupid CGI effect that I love. It's, you know, it's just flashy craziness that it doesn't really work for the rest of the franchise, in my opinion. But here it was just so epic, and I'm like, yes,
right.
I like it.
So with that, should we give closing statements on this movie?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I would say that, especially upon the rewatch, this is a full-face movie. Like it's very competent. It does some pretty interesting things. Sometimes it feels a little bit rushed. I think it could have used another half an hour for sure. And I know there's a lot missing from the books. I think, like The Traveler said, a TV series might work better for this segment of the story, especially. But it's a lot of fun, a lot more action, I would say, than the other movies, given that the other movies have a lot more to do with the classroom stuff. But it is also missing some of that magic that the first three films have, like this, at least the study of the magic. So yeah, Full Faced. I do actually recommend it, especially if you were like us and you were disappointed when you first watched it. You might, second watch might be more enjoyable. Like I said, Gleason's interpretation of both his characters, I'll say, was great. So that alone made it worth it for me.
I agree. I mean, Gleason is just wonderful to watch, and definitely made it worth it. And I don't know, even though everything's condensed and rushed, like you said, like I'm in a total agreement on all that regard, because it's just, I don't know, this is one of my favorite books, and there's so much missing from it in the movie. And I don't want to blame Mike Newell's direction, because I think he did a great job. He really did just look at the story and take everything that was needed to tell the essential story and left everything else out. And when you're just a one-time director on something like that, it makes sense. Like, I don't want to harass him. He's just like, he did what he had to for his story, for his part of the tale, and what he told. It is entertaining. It is a very fun teenage film. I don't know. I mean, I still only give it 2.5 stars, just because I'm so loyal to the book that it's sad that so much is missing. But it is wildly more entertaining than I remembered it being as a kid. And so
I'll watch it again when
Yeah, obviously, just keep it. Recommend it. I recommend the whole series, and you have to watch this one to watch the others. So,
and I was honestly surprised, because I don't recall ever rewatching it in between the theaters and here. So, like I said, if it's been a long time for you and you hated it, give it another chance. I think you'll be surprised.
I've been the Green Traveler,
and I've been the Faceless Leon. We're Midwest Wizards now.
No, part of that American school. I can't remember what it's called.
Is there really an American school?
Yeah, she came out with a North American Wizarding Academy, I think, or a United States one specifically. I can't remember. I mean, we did we all did the test that one time. I just can't remember the classes or the houses or anything.
Right.
All the true fans are gonna be like, "Oh, you're so stupid!
What the hell?
You don't know the American school? You fuck! Call yourself a fan?"
This is a movie review show. With that, safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the Fiction Works 19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.